Hello.
Hi, Corinne. Okay. Okay. We have everyone on our commission in attendance. I'm going to begin. Good afternoon and welcome to the Kingston Tree Commission meeting. Today is October 12th, 2021. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I am the planning director for the City of Kingston and the organizer for this virtual meeting. Before we begin our meeting, I would like to go over a few guidelines to help navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that any members of the public and the press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As the organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Commission members and city staff will control their own mute button. As good practice, we ask that you mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a commission member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hand. As the organizer, I will call on them before they speak by stating their name clearly for our audio listeners. The commission member will then unmute themselves, state their name, and speak clearly, muting after finished. All meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city website at a later date. We are also live streaming this meeting over the city's YouTube channel. If you do have any audio issues, please send a text message to the following number, 845-443-0416. Please be aware that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number again to text is 845-443-0416. So thank you for your patience, and we will now begin our meeting at 3:33 p.m. I am going to call each of the members, if you would just raise your hand and say here. Vince Archer.
Here.
Tebby Collins. You're muted, Tebby. You're muted, Tebby. Can you say here?
Here.
Thank you. Amanda O'Neill.
Here.
Corinne Dutiel.
Yeah.
And Evan Kang.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, we're going to get started. The first item on our agenda is 254 West Chestnut Street. I sent around just a short while ago a complete packet with all of the applications. There have been a couple of additions since the original agenda went out. But if you have 254 West Chestnut Street, I know that the property owner, Arlene, if you want to unmute yourself and explain, this is a request to amend our decision of last month. Arlene, do you want to unmute, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for putting us back on the agenda. Last month, the commission required or made the determination that we should have 2 trees in front of our house removed, both at the same time. As anybody who's had a tree removed, it's an expensive proposition to even have 1 tree removed. So, with all of the taxes, the school taxes just haven't been paid, and the upcoming taxes in January, we were requesting that the removal of one of the trees, if you're looking at the house, the one to the right, be postponed until next year, since that doesn't have the same immediacy as the tree on the left. So that's what we're requesting, that it be postponed until next year. We will take care of the tree on the left that seems to have an immediate urgency to have it removed, and we'll do it. Everybody's booking out, so it'll be done this year, but most likely for not another month or so until we can get someone to do that.
Okay. Do any of the commission members have any questions for Ms. Kowalski? Any objections or comment on her request?
Sue, I just have a question. Does Public Works Department, since this came over from them, is that something that they are aware of or?
I sent it to Ryan. I have not heard any comment back.
Okay.
so- Amanda, you had a question?
That was pretty much the same question. Has somebody looked to see whether or not the second tree can wait? Maybe establish a timeline, like spring, it has to be done by the spring, the summer. I find no reason to say that they can't wait and space it out between, a number of months. It is a monetary commitment. I had 3 trees removed from my property recently because of a problem with them. But I think there should be like a timeline and maybe, just confirmation that it can wait a number of months. Winter is hard, especially if trees are having an issue and for safety purposes need to be removed.
Okay. Vince, did you have a comment?
No,
No.
unless
Okay.
Carla does Carla have the pictures? I didn't think I saved them from the last meeting, but
Okay.
I think
Um,
there's also been a change from the last meeting. The trees that were, or the branches that were by the street have been removed. So I'm assuming that was done in between your last meeting on September 14th and this meeting. So there doesn't appear to even be any immediate danger. I mean, the one to the left for sure will be removed, but
okay, now I remember. Yeah.
Mm.
So the tree on the left, you said, is the one that's more immediate? That's the one you're planning on removing this year?
right, that's the one that has the
Yes.
obvious rot and
Yeah.
could potentially, I don't know that it's immediate, but something potentially could happen, and we agree with that.
Okay.
So, we're working on having that removed. The other one does not have those same issues that the tree on the left has. Or it doesn't appear to
Yeah.
have the same issues.
Arlene, this is Sue. So as one of our commission members asked, if the one on the left were to go this fall, what do you anticipate your timeline would be for the second one to be taken down then?
By spring of next year. I mean,
Okay,
I don't necessarily want to wait on that either. An extended period of time, and we're not probably within, this is no October,
okay.
or probably by the end of April.
Okay. All right, so what I would ask the commission is to consider her request with the first tree on the left being removed this fall, the second tree on the right to be removed in the spring of 2022. And I will also confirm with the Department of Public Works that there is no immediate issue that they both have to be removed right now, right away. If that sounds acceptable, would somebody make a motion to that effect? Tebby, can you just verbalize?
I make a motion that we allow the trees at, is it 254 West Chestnut, allow deferral of removal of the tree that is the least dangerous, and the other tree would be removed this fall, and the next one would be removed hopefully in the spring,
Okay.
pending asking the Department of Public Works to make sure that there's no danger for the second tree.
Correct. Can I have a second on that? You had something else? to say? Okay, second by Evan. On the motion, discussion? Okay. Can I have all those in favor, please say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
And Sue or Arlene, did I send you the information from the Memorial Tree Fund that helps to fund removal and replanting of trees?
Yes, we have, you
Okay.
did send the requirements and an application. So I
Okay.
guess that would be done for each year separately.
Yeah,
Each
yeah.
fiscal year.
This is our first year trying this, and hopefully we'll do it again next year as well. I can't guarantee that, but I think that is our intention. I think we have one grant left at this point. So if you're interested, I would get the paperwork in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So moving along, the next item on the agenda is 135 Green Street.
So we can leave now?
Yes, you're all done.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Enjoy the day.
You too.
So the next item on our agenda is 135 Green Street. Mr. Schmidt, are you on? Okay, I do know that he planned on attending. So I'm going to hold off on talking about his application until the end to see if he does show up. The next item would be 238 Elmendorf Street. This was a referral from the Department of Public Works after receiving a call about another tree on the same street. And you can see in the photograph that was submitted by DPW that the tree really is in very poor condition. And he is recommending removal. I would agree with that assessment. I don't know if the property owners are here. I did send out, because I did not get emails for the property owners. They did get letters to be in attendance. So I would say on this one, we can probably, unless there's any questions, I would ask for a motion to recommend removal with all of our standard conditions to be applied. And that would be insurance, public works, permit, protection of the sidewalk and the vehicular traffic while work is being done, that it be done by a licensed tree service. All debris is removed and cleared from the site, that the stump be ground below grade, and that if possible, another tree get replanted in close proximity. And we would also give this property owner a copy of the application for our tree grant, our citywide tree planting program. So with that, does somebody want to make a motion?
This is Vince. I
Yes.
recommend that the tree be removed and following all the standard conditions with insurances and an authorized tree service removal, stump ground below grade, and a request for a tree to be replanted somewhere. It looks like there's space in front of the house. And so another tree be replanted in that space.
Okay. Can I have a second on that motion?
I second the motion.
Okay, seconded by Amanda. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 223 Elmendorf. Okay, I don't know, is anyone on the line for 223 Elmendorf? Okay, this again is another referral from the Department of Public Works. At the time of the referral, the Department of Public Works opinion was that it's not posing an immediate concern, but should certainly be put on the watch list. Looking at the tree, I don't think it does anything aesthetically at this time, to the street. It is pretty much either been cut back by the utility companies. So it is off, it's structurally, I would question its suitability. My recommendation on this one really would be to remove it. It's not an immediate threat, but I think a removal and a replacement would be in order. I don't know if any of the commissioners have any questions or thoughts. Evan?
So like for the tree replacement or like replanting, is like, do they submit another application, or like it's going to be included in our city planning?
Well, what we would do is if that is part of our recommendation, we would absolutely include one of our applications for our tree planting program that we are running right now. And that would be a free, a free street tree back in place of this one. Yes. Anybody else? Okay, well, does somebody want to make a motion? Do you think we should just keep this on a watch list? Do you think we should recommend removal? What are your thoughts?
I think like we should recommend a small canopy tree because of the lines utilities. I think this was the wrong tree for this spot. So we have to make sure we have the recommendation of a smaller tree that's not going to end up in the same situation.
Right. If it did get into our planting program, we absolutely would be cognizant of that, and we would not install or have planted a tree that is not appropriate for underwires. Correct.
So I will propose the motion to remove the tree and replace a decent size of the tree to fit, the at the right, right position, and for the 223 Elmendorf.
Okay. I'm going to add all of the conditions, Evan, to that. All
Yes.
of our regular conditions.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a second on that motion? Second by Corinne. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I do have one question. Looking
Go
at
ahead, Vince.
Looking at the picture, the tree looks like if you're looking down the street, there's two cars parked on the street. The property, I assume, is in front of is between those two cars. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I haven't been down that street. So it looks like they do have 10 foot from that tree. Looks like they do still have space to plant another tree. So
Right.
I would concur.
It would depend really on where their utility connections are as well, which I
Yes,
don't know by looking at right.
But looking at it, looks like, there's a potential,
Right.
but I haven't been down that street. I don't remember looking at that particular tree,
Okay.
but it does look like Central Hudson strikes again, but okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other questions? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 231 Elmendorf.
I just have another quick question.
Yes.
I don't know, am I on? Yeah. But as part of the standard conditions, do we recommend safe dig or whatever they call that, where they go validate where the utility lines come in?
For
For replant?
removals, that's a good point.
No.
For removals, we have not done that, but that's a very good point. I will add that in.
Okay,
Well, I think Jennifer has questions and she is
Yes,
representing the
yes.
231.
Yes,
I
hi.
said-
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi,
Oh.
Jennifer. Yes, and yes, you can speak on behalf of your
Yeah, he
parent.
got this letter, and of course, my dad is 72. He has no clue how to do a Zoom meeting, or he
Right.
isn't aware that the tree is very old, and he told me a branch or something did come down. And then he spoke to someone from the city, and he left a message for the alderman. So I'm not sure what is being done. I told him I would go on the Zoom to see if I can get
Okay.
information on next steps or.
Okay, yeah, just for a little bit of background on this, the property owner did reach out to our office after a branch, actually, well, a little bit before the DPW had identified, and there was a branch that he was concerned with. So DPW at that point recommended that, said that they would be able to take that branch off. But it wasn't obviously something immediate that they felt that they needed to address. Subsequent to that, a branch did break off of this tree and fall into the front yard of the property owner. It wasn't the same branch we originally looked at, it was a different one. So when that happened, it took a little bit of time, but DPW did get out there and they did clean that up. And so that has been removed, but still the other branch and the rest of the tree now has, the DPW has modified their opinion, has taken a much closer look at this tree and is recommending that it get removed. So that's where we are at today. And it's up to the tree commission now to make the recommendation on the removal. So Jennifer, what would happen is the tree commission will make the recommendation and then the property owner will be directed to take that action on. I don't know if you were listening earlier, but Tebby Collins, Elizabeth Collins is on this call. She represents the Memorial Tree Fund as well. And they do offer assistance for both removal and for plantings. So there is a potential opportunity there to get some assistance. It's obviously first come, first serve, but I'm sure Tebby would be more than happy to share that information with you, depending on what the outcome of the commission's decision is.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. And did you want to add anything? I know, did your dad want you to add anything to?
He just wanted to know, I guess he was waiting to see, and I think the same thing DPW told him that there, if he reached out to the alderman, that there were some organizations that could help with the tree removal. I guess because they're saying that it's dying, so it's possible to come down more. It can end up on a house. So that's what their concern was.
Right, and there are wires in this one too. They're not primary wires, so the utility company isn't going to address this issue. But they could effectively, take out your services to your house. So that's another concern of the DPW as well.
So I guess, so how would I find out when the tree commission has reviewed it and made their final decision?
Well, we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to, Tevy, yes.
I don't seem to have a picture of this one. Was one sent, or we're just taking the word of the.
You know what? Yeah, there should be one.
We have a 223, 238, but we don't have 231.
Okay, hold on. Oh, I have to go on this computer. Kyla's on her phone. Give me a second.
Debbie, the tree is in the note that Suzanne just sent out.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you look at that address, 223, and the first
You're talking
section of
about
the note,
We're talking about 231.
Or 231? The picture's in the attachments to the note that was sent from Sue.
I don't see 231.
No, it's 223.
No, 231.
231?
Yeah, Sue, I didn't see that in the
There's a third one, Vince.
in the applications either. And just
Oh.
a side note, there's someone on the phone that's trying to call in and is having trouble with the passcode. And I'm not sure, she's tried 5 times, she can't get in. She's interested in the Franklin Street discussion further on.
Okay, let me see. I'm going to. Okay. Everybody, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, that's the tree. That's 231 Elmendorf tree.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, can I take it down or is there anybody who has any questions about it? I would recommend removal, obviously. I think also after removal, with all the standard conditions, I would also extend the tree application to this applicant.
So this is 221 Elmendorf,
This is 231,
231. Okay.
correct.
So I'm
We
ready
don't-
to make a motion if that's what we're waiting for.
Yeah,
I make a motion that we recommend removal of the tree with all of the usual conditions and that we supply the owner with an application for replanting a tree through the tree grant.
I second.
second by, I'm sorry.
Evan?
Evan.
Okay, thank you, Evan. Is there any further discussion?
I just have a comment, not particular for this tree, but it seems like we have some issue on Elmendorf. Like if I today we have a 3, it seems like and I think a lot of land are caused by the public utility. And so I think there's a fundamental problem here is like we might have to communicate certain things to, Central Hudson, just when they prune the tree or like, how they design the wire that need to take into consideration for the city planning, especially in terms of the tree trimming.
Right, Evan, I couldn't agree with you more. The commission has made a few attempts to work with Central Hudson employees, with the organization, and we've invited them to some of our meetings. They have attended some of our meetings. Hasn't helped a whole heck of a lot. They're supposed to be notifying property owners, but we're finding out that a lot of that notification unfortunately does not happen. When there's an emergency, it's understandable, but when it's planned, it can be very dramatic and drastic, as you're going to see. And later, when you look at the application from Rupco, has an intense effect on a property, much less a street. When multiple properties are impacted and property owners are not aware of the cutting and they come home from work after being away from their homes for the day and find that the total look of their front has changed and there's nothing they can do about it, unfortunately. So, Amanda?
Just to piggyback on what Evan said, if they don't necessarily want to listen to the tree commission, then maybe it needs to go to another group within the city. Just because the people that are property owners are monetarily responsible for these trees. And I feel as though having Central Hudson butcher them and then making them have to pay to take them down should be highly considered as a problem that we have in the city, and people that are completely at different monetary, socioeconomic classes, that they need to be looked after as well. So if it's not something we can achieve, maybe somebody higher up can have that discussion with Central Hudson.
Right.
Last day, I think if they can just provide certain support to the tree grant, just to support some property owners, because I think it is in a way, yeah, it's a public work, it's a utility for public, but at the same time, the property owner has paid has penalized by, their action. And so it is like as a corporation, I think the actual, the real action is to really provide some monetary support to the fund, and so we can utilize the fund to help, or to fund the removal, or just to help people, the property owner to pay for the removal.
Okay. I'm sorry, I got interrupted. I had to take a call. All right. Is there any other discussion on this particular tree? If not, I need a motion, or actually I have a motion and a second on the floor. No other discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. So Jennifer, or I will be writing a letter then, addressing to your dad. The decision of the commission is to remove the tree. And I'll include the contact information for Tubby as well, so that you can get in touch, reach out to her for the Memorial Tree Fund. And I'll also include an application for the replacement.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Have a good day. Thank you to everyone.
Okay. I am going to try, is that woman, Kyla, is no longer on the phone. Is she going to try connecting again?
Yeah, a couple of options. I could either forward her. I mean, she's really interested in the update that Amanda was going to give, and also just talking about the Franklin Street project. I told her there's not really a public comment period for the tree commission on that, but she wanted to be involved in the discussion. So I don't know if you want me to send her, if you want her to try calling in again, or calling back and being on speaker or something. Amanda?
All I really have to say is just a couple of bits of information that I became privy of by attending the public forum. I know that they are moving forward with the next step, which will probably bring together another public forum. But other than the tree highlights and negatives that came along with attending, I don't feel like there's anything for discussion at this time.
Okay. I would think then what we could do, she can watch obviously the YouTube video. We can get her the portions of the recorded meeting, but it doesn't sound like, obviously this is not a public hearing, and this is not the forum really to talk about the entire project. And in fact, it will be brought to the tree commission when it's ready to be brought forward for recommendations on street trees. So, okay. So I'm going to move then back. I don't see Jed having come on yet. So we'll move to 300 Flatbush Avenue. If nobody has any objection, that's Rupco's project. It was a late application. And that I had circulated around. I don't know if you've all had an opportunity to review it, but They also sent a management report with a lot of recommendations beyond what the application actually was intended to address. I sent that around this morning. So I know that we've got two members from RUPCO here. Chuck is here and Lauren, correct?
That's right. Yes.
Hi. I guess I'll turn it over to you. The commission members have gotten copies of your application materials and the management report. I prefer to really stick to the application in front of us for this meeting, unless you have other thoughts. So I'll let one of you, I'm not sure who's going to take the lead, Chuck or Lauren.
I will certainly.
Okay.
Sue, thank you for including us on this agenda. I know it was late coming, but we were unaware of your cycle. So appreciate everybody's time. And I am somewhat underprepared because the arborist report that was circulated this morning, I actually have not read myself. However, that said, I think I can speak to the really two issues to our application. One, and obviously the commission is well aware of what the utility company does without notice. And 3 or 4 months ago, as we have been cycling through the project at 300 Flatbush, they showed up and seemingly overnight quartered the trees that line Route 9W, Chester Street, going out towards the malls. They did some work on Flatbush as well. And I don't know, it was brought to my attention and I couldn't believe it. The first thing I did was call Sue, because going through our diligence period and through the planning process, we had always represented that we wanted to touch those trees at all. And I just wanted her to know that we hadn't done it. So our proposal is, on recommendation from talking to a couple of different arborists, is basically to take those trees that were quartered, take the other top quarter off, kind of shape them, and then maintain them in a level that hopefully leaves out but stays below the level of utility lines. This is very similar to what had been done on the Flatbush side. So we've got the same kind of trees that line the property, and at some point in time, I suspect the utility did the same thing, and whoever, probably the county at the time, shaped those trees. They're smaller. They actually look fine. I think it probably takes a couple of years for those to leaf out and look like anything. But our recommendation as the best thing that we can possibly do, given the situation, is to just shape those and take out the remaining pieces that are above the utility and to the inside of the property at this point. And then the second item is, and again, interior to the site, but was somewhat integral to our planning process. There is a sizable catalpa tree that we more or less designed the site around in that part of the site, in the southeast corner of the building. A lot of hardscape below it that works with the some passive recreational areas outside of the building, walking trails. We kind of worked around it. Upon getting to the site and really inspecting the tree, I mean, it's hollow. It's I've had a couple of people look at it and they just shake their head, and it looks beautiful. It's fully leafed, it flowers, it does everything that it's supposed to do, but one wrong rainstorm and the thing's bound to come down. And I haven't talked to anybody that made a recommendation that there was any way whatsoever that we could save it. So yeah, that's it. You could see right through it, in fact. And there's just very little holding the structure of that tree together. And those pictures don't do the base of the tree much justice, unfortunately. So we would like to take that tree down as well, just because if we don't take it down now, it's going to come down anytime soon, and probably is a health risk.
Yes, Evan.
Do we have any plan to replant, like, just to replant some, like a tree to just to replace that removed tree in another location?
I don't, there is none with the application, no. Yes, Tabby.
I actually did read that report about half an hour ago, and it was a pretty complete report. And I have to agree that the tree needs to come down. And I think at the bottom of the report, they made a comment about keeping some of the, that it, like regenerating the tree through, like it might allow some of the, allow it to regrow. So try not to kill the stumps. I know in some places they recommended actually like removing the stump or killing it. So I don't know, that's going to take a long time for a new tree to grow, but I believe that was the recommendation on the actual report.
I'm sorry, Teddy, the recommendation was to take it down to a stump and then let it go and hopefully it grows back?
Yeah, I think it said, now I have to find it.
Okay, I can read it to you. The recommendation for it is the tree is a hazard and needs to be taken down. Based on information from Mr. Brown, the tree is listed as a significant tree. Following its removal, basil sprouts could be grown to replace a genetically identical tree for the future.
So that's planting a new tree called a basil sprout?
No, I think the basil sprouts are what would come out of the root structure if the root structure is left in place.
That was my understanding, but I'm not an arborist either, so.
Interesting. I mean, I have no problem with that. We can do that. I think I'd probably prefer to put a mature or semi-mature tree there, but only because it's how the site was designed. But I'm happy to allow it to naturally regenerate if everybody thinks that will happen.
I haven't read this report. Who is Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown's my maintenance supervisor at Rupco.
Okay, Ken Brown of Rupco. Okay.
Right.
He's saying it's significant. Is he saying significant in terms of having some historical significance? Or I guess I'd want to be clear on that. Or just because of its size and its age, he's thinking it's significant.
Yeah, I don't think it has any significance beyond that. And again, it's a nice tree that was interior to the site, and we had always anticipated we were going to keep it. But
Right.
Other than that, I don't know if it's significant.
The only reason I ask that is because having, the basil sprouts come out of the actual base of the existing tree retains that genetic makeup of the tree. So if it had some historical significance, I would see why we would want to try and do it that way. If it doesn't, I would have no objection though to a more mature tree being planted in that proximity. Yes, Karine?
Yeah, I saw many catalpa that kind of like sprouts out very fast, and they start like just standing all their shoots, and so like within a year it's going to be like 4 feet. It's amazing how they regenerate so fast. And I mean, if you wanted, you can also plant like maybe some shrubs around to give him some time to kind of get his its full bloom. But yeah, I feel like it's a great compromise.
Okay. I know Emily Hauser just submitted a comment for the basil sprout, and I would tend to agree. If it's going to be that quick, I think that maybe that would be a great idea to let it regenerate naturally. If that's something Chuck, you and your organization would agree to, Lauren?
Yeah, that's fine if that's what we want to do. I have a hard time believing that's going to happen, but I think I'll keep my fingers crossed.
We can let it see how it goes and maybe readdress it We can come back to it if we want to, because I think you might want to be coming back with some of the other recommendations in the overall management report at a later date.
That's fine.
Evan?
I just want to know, how do we ensure like just in terms of a trimming will, to a condition like where Brussels sprout will grow, because I think sometimes when we, just trim the, we will say, okay, we cut down the tree, but just like, how do we ensure that, process is being followed?
Well, I mean, I think it will happen. I think the basil sprout will automatically happen. I'd like to give it the opportunity myself. That's my own opinion. I'm not a voting member. But I think that, it could be an interesting little kind of a pilot project for this commission to see how well it works. And follow it, and we can revisit it. We can flag it and come back to it in 6 months and see what's going on over at this location next, late next spring.
Yeah, and I think this tree has built like a whole system of communication underground, and it's communicating with all the trees around, and it looks like it's such an old like mother tree. So I'm sure it's gonna shoot like really fast, and
Okay.
I'm pretty confident. But yeah, let's give it a year and see what happens. But
Okay. Tebby?
So Emily suggested we look it up, which I did. It's what I found was that it grows, like Karine says, they grow very quickly. It says about 2 feet a year, and in 7 years they're flowering. So maybe these basil sprouts on a catalpa tree are quick, and I think that sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Like you say, we can try it, and if they can always plant a tree if they need another tree
Right.
later.
No objections from the owner.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, can I have a motion from someone on the commission with regards to the pruning work, allowing the pruning work to go ahead on the trees along 9W, and to also allow the removal of the catalpa tree, however, leaving intact the bottom, the roots structure and a small portion of the stump to allow it to regenerate naturally. I need someone to make that motion.
The motion like to remove just to trim the 9W tree, just to top the tree along the 9W, and also remove the catapult tree and leave the proper stump, and so for the basil sprout to grow. And that's it. I'm following the regular procedures required by the city.
Yeah. Can I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, second by Tebby. I have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions? Okay, then I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
I just have one comment. I just found it really interesting reading this report and the idea that you could take 10 to 20 feet off the top of a tree and that it would still thrive. That's something I personally did not know. And I just think that's great. I wish Central Hudson, maybe they would take that into consideration when they take trees down. Then rather than cut the middle out and then have these other branches that are sort of dying, I don't know. If you can cut the top of a tree off, that makes more sense to me. But that's just my comment.
Thank you all. I
Yes,
think we're
thank you.
done.
Thank you. Yes, you're all done. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, and I see that Jed is here now from 135 Green Street. So
Yes.
we'll go back to that, actually 2 applications. He filed one actually for the removal and one is for planting. So Jed, I'll let you start with the removal.
Okay, cool. Hi. Sorry I'm late. I apologize. My kid was home from school today. It was not easy. But I wanted to, guys, can you still hear me? I just want to make sure my Wi-Fi is reaching.
Yes.
Okay, cool. This is the tree in question. It is a locust tree. And it's a bit problematic for us right now because it is really coming over the house. It's also another branch is going through wires that need to be taken down for the construction of who is going to do some home renovation work soon. And if we trim those two branches, there's really not much left of the tree. The only other branches are going actually into the wires. So I was hoping that we could actually remove this tree. Also, I'm sorry, there's drainage issues the tree is causing with roots. It's peeving the bluestone here, as you can see, into the house. And that's also preventing us from doing drainage work that would actually help. This becomes a lake when it rains. And so what we'd like to do is replace it with a new tree. That is the tree removal aspect of the application. But,
Okay.
That's that.
The commission members have any questions? So when you're saying replant, that's your planting application too. In that same vicinity, you say, and you also say you're going to plant 3 trees, correct?
At least 3 trees, yes.
Okay.
So
We're taking one down.
of
We're taking one down,
Right.
and we're getting 3 trees in return.
taking one down and planting 3 or 4. I mean, if you approve the taking down, that might actually be 4.
Okay.
You know, I'm going off of historical images of the house, in which there were 3 trees in front of the house, as far as we could see. Yeah, at the very least, I would like to. I mean, I love the position of that tree is great. It's just the tree hasn't been taken care of, and it's growing in the wrong direction. If you look at the locust trees across the street, you know, they're both growing perfectly. You know, if you trim, they actually just trimmed a lot of those branches from the 138 side of Green Street, and the trees are perfectly healthy. If we did that for this tree, there would be very little left. And I think that would be a sad tree at that point. So I think I would just love to replace it. In terms of the other trees, one right here, basically next to where these garbage cans are right now, and one possibly to replace this sign. This sign, as you can see here, was actually put here by the previous owner, and the sign says no parking. But the thing is, there's no parking on the side of the street anyway. It's nothing special about this house, and I think a tree would serve the safe purpose as that sign. You know, you can't park where a tree is. So yeah, the idea is to, you know, maybe a few feet down, but at least replace the sign with a tree. One of the reasons for the trees, putting them in is not only because we would like to have more trees that the house used to have, but because, you know, we are responsible for this bluestone. And it happens many times that a giant truck delivering a mattress will pull over onto the side of the street on top of the stone and break the bluestone. And as you know, it is not cheap to replace that. And so kind of to mitigate that, we would like to put in trees as a kind of almost a defensive mechanism as well.
Right. Just so that you're aware, the sign just can't get removed. The sign is there because there's an ordinance in the city code that says there's no parking on that side of the street. So legally, the city has to post every so many feet that there is no parking.
I see.
So
okay, the owner of the house told me
right, planting a tree.
No, we're fine. I mean, honestly, that sign is not where I would want the tree necessarily. I think that the idea is the tree would be kind of equally spaced from that landing over there on the road, and also, you know, from this landing here, right there. So yeah, that's fine. The tree and the sign can coexist peacefully, I'm sure.
Okay, Evan, you had a question?
I have a question. I know there are wire on the above the tree. So do you have any plan, like what type of tree you will be planting? Because I think in the end, if the tree grows above that, it's going to get trained by Central Hudson, or it might potentially pose like some dangers.
Okay, so Evan,
yeah,
right, yeah. Me too. I was thinking that question too, Evan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would mostly defer in terms of the type of tree. I mean, I certainly have a preference of a tree that I would like. But in terms of the wire, you can see all down the street, there are trees. There's no shortage of trees, especially on this side with the wires. Most of these trees are locust. As you get further down, there's a walnut tree and there are some oak trees. Those seem to be the three kinds of variety of tree on this street. I guess there's a maple, but yeah, especially around here, there's a lot of locust. In terms of trees, the wires are certainly a part of it. I feel that with a little bit more vigilant pruning, some of those issues could be avoided. This house was not owner occupied for a century. So I don't think anyone really kept too keen an eye on maintaining these trees, which is why they've kind of arrived in the shape that they're in. They just keep pruning them through central Hudson and the tree keeps growing over the house. Whereas if they were maybe a little bit more vigilant, that issue could be avoided. The other issue that I have is, a lot of these trees heave the bluestone a lot, which makes it really dangerous to walk. And you can see like that tree has pushed the bluestone over 6 inches, which has, made our staircase really loose. The first step is only, 3 inches deep because the top step is moved in 6 inches from the tree. So in terms of, wires are one concern. The other concern is bluestone. So to the extent that we could get a tree in here that, it tends to be a little bit more vertical and the roots grow deeper, that would be great. And from what I've seen, just casually walking down Green Street, walking down Crown Street, walking down John Street, it seems the trees that heave the bluestone the least, at least the ones that I've seen, are ginkgo.
Okay.
But that is non-scientific. That's just my observation of the trees that heave the bluestone the least.
Okay, we can provide you with some species that would be appropriate for planting under wires that don't mature to significant heights. We can also get you some specifications on a couple of things. One is what we call a structural soil, which when it's used in planting areas allows the tree roots to grow down, and there's a lot less heaving under any paved areas or paved surfaces. And there's also root barrier systems. So either one of those would, if you're planting new, especially in areas like you are where you have dense areas and bluestone that you don't want to heave but you want to maintain, either one of those would be good solutions, and we can get you that information.
Great, that's perfect.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments from anybody on the commission? Okay, can I?
Sorry. So the replacement will be 3 trees, right? Because in the application will be 1 tree removal, and like in the emails they plant 2 or 3. So like now it's going to be 3 trees. I will believe.
Right. Actually, the application for planting is for 3 trees, but the owner has said in the conversation today that with the removal of the other tree, it could potentially be 4 new trees. So I would consider the approval to be for either 3 or 4. And we'll work to get them suitable trees in terms of species. I'll get them the information on structural soil and for the root barrier systems as well.
I have a question. If we do, for example, take down this tree and plant 4 trees in the place, in terms of locations, that's just at our discretion? Is the idea just to space them out as much as possible, or are there other requirements that you have?
I think, well, obviously, I think you want to space them appropriately for growing,
right, of course.
But and I think that if the commission is comfortable, you can work with us at staff level to choose the final locations. You obviously have underground utilities that also have to be considered, where your lateral connections are. So we want to map those out as well.
Okay, so you would let us know where those are, those connections?
you'd have to call, we call underground, and they come out, what they do is then they dispense all of the utilities, will come out and mark their
I
appropriate
see.
locations.
And so that's gas, that's water, that's sewer, anything else I'm missing?
Yep, yes.
Okay.
One phone number, and it blankets all of the utilities.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
But it looks
Any
like,
other questions?
yeah, this is Vince. Looks like
Hey, Vince.
the historical picture looks really nice in terms of the tree spacing.
Yeah, I think
So-
I think I spotted 3 trees. Yeah,
Yeah, that was 3. So I mean, something like that, I think would be just great.
it's fine by me. Yeah, 3 trees, especially if we replace that one here,
Yeah.
one there.
And
That
they
might
don't
be
look
good
like
enough,
they're
especially.
heaving the, yeah, they're not even the sidewalk either.
I'm sorry. The picture of the trees in the 1800s.
Yes.
Those trees. I mean, I think the sidewalk was probably a different scene then. I don't even know it was even bluestone back then. I mean, that in that picture, the road is dirt, so the tree had a lot
Yeah.
more leeway. I think a lot less competition.
it
But
does
yeah, no,
look
the
like
spacing is
bluestone.
nice, and oh, it does. Okay, yeah. I mean, who knows? It might even be these same tiles. I don't know. But yeah, we're slowly. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Most of the work that we've done here is just bringing it back to what it was. So
Yep.
it would be nice to start doing that in terms of the trees too.
Okay, so again, I guess we'll start with the removal first. Can I have a motion from one of the commissioners on the removal application?
I make a motion that we allow the owner at 190 Fair Street to remove the tree that is leaning over the house.
I'm sorry, it's 135 Green.
Oh, 135 Green, I'm sorry. Too many addresses here.
Yeah, I know.
135 Green to remove the tree.
Okay, with all of the conditions, the
All
standard.
of the standard conditions.
Okay, that's a motion. Can I have a second?
I second.
Okay, second by Evan. Is there any other further discussion? Okay, I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
that's unanimous. And so let's move on to the planting. So my notes on the planting one are that there will be approval to plant 3 or 4 new trees. The staff will send the applicant the specifications for either structural, soil, or root barriers. 1-800-DIG will be called to locate underground utilities. Staff will work with the applicant on locations and species. Any other conditions that anybody can think of?
Just a comment, like for the new planted tree, you might want to avoid to block the sign, the no parking sign.
Okay, good suggestion. Okay.
When you say block the sign, this one of the weird things, this is a one-way street. It's very narrow, and the sign faces the street, so you really only can see the sign once you're like right in front of it. But yes, I would imagine it. I'm thinking like a tree, like there or there. Yeah, within probably 6 feet on either side of the sign. Do you think that's appropriate or acceptable?
Yeah, that should be fine. That would be fine. Okay.
Can I ask? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You finish your.
No, go ahead.
I just one more question when you're done. When we do take out that tree and we plant a tree in its place, I imagine we would want to back off, like move it, a certain distance to avoid the roots of the old tree. Is there any guidance for that of like where to replant?
Usually you're going to, it's going to depend once you take the tree out, the root structure. I'm not sure, how far it goes, but you're going to have to go probably 6 to 8 feet at a minimum distance away.
Okay, cool.
Unless you really get in and grind that stump good. And that's a lot of work. That's expensive.
Yeah, a lot of work. Yeah, totally. Or wait 10 years.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I think 4 trees is probably unrealistic. It would end up being 3 trees.
Okay, all right, and that's fine. It's fine. Can somebody make a motion then, please?
I propose the motion to plant 3 trees in an appropriate locations and meet the city or the commission's requirement and follow the standard procedure.
Okay. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any question? Okay, with that, call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, you're all set, Jed.
All right, I'm standing by for the tree list, and thank you guys. And I apologize for being late.
No problem. I'll be in touch and I'll get you that information, okay?
Thank you, Sue. I appreciate it.
Okay. So then moving
Thanks, everyone.
on, I guess, let's see, let's skip around a little bit. Amanda, do you want to just talk about the Franklin Street? Then I'll let you talk about that first, and then Kareen, I'll go to you for the Arbor Day poster discussion. And then I can hit on the grants real quick and we should be able to wrap it up. So Amanda, you're on.
Okay, so I went down, spent a lengthy amount of time down at the information community outreach. Got to meet Kareen in person, so that was lovely. They were very, very informative. I feel as though they came with a lot of information to offer the community, which as a Franklin Street resident made me very happy. They showed an array of different trees that they're going to be working with to plant. They are going to be working with Central Hudson to clean up the wires, which are going to make a difference of what trees and where could be planted. They tentatively, for the entire street, have a plan to only remove approximately 10 to 15 trees. And there was some community, upset because of the size and maturity of some of the trees and the belief that there was a lack of damage to the sidewalk area. But at the same time, Franklin Street varies from 30 feet in width to 27 feet in width. And they've settled on a width of 29 feet from Wall to Broadway. So there is going to be some movement, which would need to remove some trees. But the happiest note is that as of right now, of course, with utilities factored in the next step of planning, some of that can change. They're projecting to plant 55 trees. So that's really looking at a gain of 40 trees. There was the lack of knowledge on their part that the trees become the responsibility of the residents and that they would have to sign off on that. So that could be a little bit of a decrease in that number if the residents choose not to. I did offer to go door to door and talk to residents with them to try to promote the idea of these trees being planted, because it is no cost to the resident to have the tree planted. So that's very, very cool. And there are stumps that are not down to grade on Franklin. So I kind of wonder how that came to fruition as I, explored Franklin on my own. And there are trees that it's a windfall to some of the residents that they're going to be able to be removed, because if they're not ready to be removed now, there's definitely a time stamp on how much longer they're going to be available, to not have extensive pruning or removal. I did sign up to be a member for the Tree Commission on the next step meeting and thereafter. I got to meet the new City of Kingston employee that is on the project and already communicated with him via email. So I feel like it's in a good place. There was some concern between Clinton and Pine Street about the bluestone being removed, which is not part of this committee, but that was one of the big upsets, because it's only from Pine Street to Wall that the bluestone is going to be replaced. The rest will be concrete. And I did voice a concern, especially for future trees or trees that will stay intact on the road, to have that water absorbent cement considered, which as far as they knew hadn't necessarily been considered. So that's something that they were going to look into to see if monetarily that would be a feasible thing, which would benefit any trees that are already there and would be planted in the future. And the only other real concern I have is that because this was a project put on hold, whereas Henry Street kept moving and, in time period and everything, they have to have this project done because of the money allotted and, stipulations by the end of 2023. So there's not a lot of time, or actually by 2023. So by the end of next year, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
So unless there's any questions or anything that Corinne might want to add that she wants to say that maybe I didn't address, that's about all that I felt was pertinent to this committee.
Great. Thank you very much for going and representing the commission. Corinne?
Yeah, I want to add that it was nice to see in person for sure. I didn't recognize you because we've never met. And yeah, so I also spoke about like including more, like having like the owner really like owning their strip of land in front of their place where they can actually plant some edibles. And like in this section, we are trying to work on a little park and Franklin Street, like to do a permaculture spot for like a little garden for the community. So it's all the idea of creating some permaculture and some workshops and some educational stuff. So it would be nice if this would extend, during like all the streets, especially where there is no parking. This way you can actually, like access, it will be protected so you can really work on both sides. So we talked about this, and also the possibility about the bluestone to be actually used for this little park, like if they can leave the bluestone on this vacant lot, and this way they can be used and reused to create a park with this. So
Okay.
that's, I think, the extent.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so then actually, Corinne, I'll let you stay on. And do you want to just talk a little bit about the Arbor Day poster contest? I know that you've offered to take that on, kind of take the lead for the commission on that. I think that's great. There are two levels of poster contest going on here. One is more photography based for the older, more experienced photographers, but the other is the 5th grade competition, which would have to be, I think, pretty much, that would have to be organized fairly quickly, because I think the deadline for that might be in December. I'd have to look back at that information, but that's going to be a more tricky one, is to get, if we want to get the schools involved and have the 4th and 5th graders do posters to submit, which we've done in the past. And we actually did have a state winner come from Kingston, New York one year, which was great. So Corinne, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, well, I don't have much to report. I think maybe, Amanda, you have more contact with the schools, than I do in Kingston. I don't have I have more contact like in Boysville and Oneonta. But so yeah, I forwarded the information to a friend with at the MAD organization to kind of spread the information. So I think she did, and I would have to follow up and send it also in a different places, different art organization.
Okay, Amanda?
Corinne, I'd be more than happy to forward you the email to the woman that I worked with on behalf of the commission for the Arbor Day. as well as just an FYI, 4th grade is still in the elementary schools here in Kingston, whereas 5th grade would be easier as well because those are just in Miller and in Bailey. So that's where it splits. But
Okay.
I will send you the contact that I used when we set
Yeah,
up the tree
perfect.
planting poetry writing contest.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. I think it's great. I would love to see another winner in both categories from Kingston. I think we've got a lot of talent here in this community, so let's use it. That's great. Thanks, Corinne, for taking that on. So just a couple of quick notes. Oh, I did want to, 190 Fair Street. That was the tree removal that Evan originally alerted everybody to. We did get a complaint about that last Friday. So I did look at it over the weekend, and they did not have any approval from us. And to the best of my knowledge at this point, they did not have any DPW authority either. So 2 very mature trees were removed. I did not have a chance really to reach out and have them come to this committee. But I think that they should be asked to attend our next tree commission meeting, explain the reasoning why. This commission does have the ability to fine them and also require them to replant. And I will send that section of the code not only to them as the property owner when I ask them to attend the next meeting, but also to you folks as well, so that you have that, so you have that knowledge. It is right in the street tree ordinance, however, if you want to look it up yourself in the meantime. But yeah, it's pretty dramatic change. I don't know, they did not look like they were unhealthy by the remains that were there when I went over the weekend. But there could have been a bigger problem that I'm unaware of. I didn't see any evidence of anything though. Debbie.
So the picture that you sent, the trunks were still there.
Yes.
But I thought Evan sent a picture where they were completely down. So maybe I'm mistaken. Are they gone completely, or are the trunks still there?
Evan? When I was there, they were
picture. It was at 9, and just so like pretty much all the branches have been trimmed, and like the truck is not there. It's a similar thing like the big or the stump is there, and it was not cut down to the level, but at the same time, based on the before picture, the tree, actually both trees are healthy. And like someone, I think like Tabby, you comment like if it's bending toward the house, that can be trimmed, but I don't think it's bending to a level that the tree should be removed. And so the day I saw that the truck is not there, but the big chunk of a tree was left on the street with the cone around it.
Yeah, the picture that I sent that I took over the weekend, I think that's pretty much the same thing that Evan sent, where we're still standing, I want to say a good 25, maybe 30 feet in the air, just the trunk of the tree. That was on Sunday when I took the picture. So if they've been further removed, which obviously they will have to be, they can't be left the way they are right now. Corinne.
Yeah, just a question, like to circle back in the conversation we had before. So imagine this person would be, this owner will be fined, for whatever reason. Can the money be allocated for some other people to remove their tree when there is no funds, when they're like in Diane, is this money part of like a little budget that we can allocate to people in need who are like, you know, struggling?
That's a good question. I don't believe it is set up that way, but I like that thinking.
You know?
Yeah, no, I like that.
Based on the policy, I think the fine is only 250, right?
Yeah, it's not, but I think it can be per tree.
Okay.
There's
I know it's not a lot, but it's better than nothing.
right.
We did find, if you recall, the church, St. James Street Church, was fined and made to replace multiple trees around the perimeter of their church when a few years back, when they did a drastic job as well. I only wish we could find the utility companies like that, but we can't. Yes, Karine.
Yeah, I mean, when I do project in New York City, when you want to remove a tree, it's, you know, like the caliper of the tree is calculated and the amount is very expensive, like, you know, if something happens. And I just wonder if there's a way where we can maybe change this $250 depending on the, you know, it's different if you kill like a tree that was just planted like 2 years ago compared to this tree that were like, you know, 100 years ago. I don't think it's makes sense to pay the same price. You know what I mean? Like, can we change this?
I agree. And I mean, I think that that's certainly something worthy of discussion for the commission to amend, make a suggestion to the council. That would have to go before the common council to amend the legislation, you know, appropriately. We had discussed a few years ago whether or not, you know, applications, you know, should require fees when they're coming to the commission. And we had agreed at the time not to have an application fee because we know that the cost of whether, you know, it's a removal or a planting is onerous on a property owner. And these are street trees we're talking about. So we decided not to have an application fee. But this is different.
Yeah.
And I would agree. Yes, Evan.
My suggestion is like instead of, you know, not only fine the owner, but also fine the tree removal company without obtaining the correct, you know, the permit, right? You know, before they do anything, they should look at the permit or the permission or approval from the city. Say, okay, this is, you know, I think for a contractor, before they try to make money, they should follow the procedure. It's like a plumber, you know, like they need to get a plumber license. Is it possible to do that?
I mean, legally, I think that that's a lot harder. I'm sorry, I have to take this. I'll be with you in a second.
I think that should be the responsibility of the homeowner to ensure that a permit is available for the contractor. You can't put it on the contractor because, well, I don't think we have enough information out there, like this tree on 190, whatever the street was, 190 Fair Street. I don't think homeowners in general are aware that a permit is required to remove or to plant a street tree. And I think we're falling into this trap where people just don't know. And I'm not sure if it's fair that you penalize them because they don't know. And I don't know how we inform them to ensure that the guidelines or the legal aspect of this is followed. But I don't know how to do that.
Amanda?
I see both sides of it. I'd have to agree with Evan that, you know, when I had plumbing work, I had to have a licensed plumber. When I had electrical work done, I had to have a licensed electrician come to my house for the city of Kingston. And, you know, with all the stipulations involved, we have a recommended list of people that we tend to use. Aren't those people generally aware, or should they become an approved list of people that can, sorry, my dog's playing with a toy, that that should be able to be allowed to do the services. I agree with that wholeheartedly, and they should be held accountable. And, Kingston has had a boom in people moving to this area, which is great for this area. I'm completely for it myself. But what I'm saying is that, talking about what Vince has said, they're not aware of this. But at the same time, I bought this house 3 years ago from my parents. And this is my first time being a homeowner. And I've done a ton of remodeling work. And I reached out like a average adult, in my opinion, to seek out whether or not I needed approval for certain things. So I feel like that should be common practice for any homeowner, to make sure that they reach out to make sure that whatever the local municipality's rules are. So I think the homeowner and the tree removal service that does this on the regular in Kingston, any of them do, should both be held accountable for not following the regulations within the city.
Well, one thing is, you're using the electrical and plumbing as an analogy, but that's different because that's part of the building department. For the tree services, we have tons of people that do tree removals in the city of Kingston. And some of them are good and some of them aren't good. But unless you know to go to DPW and ask who's on their list, or the city clerk or whoever it is, who's on their list, and I'm not sure you would know to do that as a new homeowner. How do you know? That's my question.
But you lived somewhere, and every municipality has regulations. So it doesn't matter where you come from.
I don't disagree.
We're not different from any other community.
I don't disagree. It's just the knowledge base of informing people that these are the guidelines, unless you're inquisitive enough to ensure that you're following those guidelines, people may just do it. Like Dave's tree service, he's been around for a long time. So he knows the guidelines, but there's new people that crop up that do tree removal that I don't think have a clue. And they just take trees down nilly-willy, not providing insurance or whatever. But I'm not sure how, I don't know how you were inquisitive enough to go find out, to see
That's
what
the
was being done
librarian
was,
in me.
yeah, what was being done was correct. I don't know how everybody knows that. And the city of Kingston's big, a lot of trees, a lot of different contractors that do tree removal. Some know, some don't know. And to penalize them unless you inform them that that there is a requirement
Right.
for a tree permit or whatever. I don't know how you do that, but.
Yeah. Evan and then Karine, and then we're gonna wrap that, because I don't know that we're gonna solve this problem.
No, we're not gonna solve it.
Obviously, so.
I know the phase tree 190 phase tree, right? Like it's in I believe it's in a heritage district.
It's in a heritage and a historic district, yes.
And so I think there's a more strict rule, right? Like it just in terms of like what kind of color you can paint over the house, or all over that. Is that tree part of it, right? Because I think just in order to maintain the historic heritage, I think tree should be part of it. Or it's just a question, I don't know.
Well, the trees typically would not be part of the review of the landmarks or the heritage commissions. That would be anything or to do with the property, the building structure, and the property itself. So that's where the tree commission kind of fills that gap when it's a street tree, which is in the public right of way, but also obviously has an important, important feature. Karine.
Yeah, to your point, Vincent, I think it's true. Like it's hard for people to know what's right, what is not. But I feel like maybe it will be our duty to reach out to all the contractors, in this area and say like, hey, you need a permit to remove a street tree, and this is like we send, some few permits, some printed pages of permits, and say like, please tell the the owner that the owner is gonna need a permit, and you're gonna need one, and if you don't use one, you're gonna be penalized. And this way, before I think because their job is to cut trees,
Mhm.
For an owner, it might happen in their lifetime or not. So it's hard to reach out to everyone. But this company are going to end up removing some trees. And I think if we do our, like outreach to kind of send a little mailing to all these companies and tell them like this is the way it works, and then they will be responsible for not reaching out and getting their permits.
Mhm.
But I do know that I
Yeah.
talked to Sue the last meeting we had and asked about how does a tree service get on the city list? And she said DPW and the city clerk. So I knew a guy that was interested in getting on the committee so that he would be able to follow the guidelines that have been established for tree removals. And I know the list that Ryan has is probably a good sizable list. But how do people know to go to DPW to ask who's on the list? Well, we're not going to solve this one, but
Right.
No, but I
It's just
feel like if we reach out to every single tree removal company,
there's too many of them.
There's too many. I mean, we have done that in the past. I will say that we've just gone through the yellow pages and sent out a mass mailing, but you don't cover everybody that way because
Right.
everybody is not listed there. Everybody is, they come from across the river. These companies are not only, just within the city of Kingston, they're in outlying communities. It is difficult. It's not easy. And it's like anything else, like Amanda said, as a property owner, you do have some responsibility. And, even there are people out there that do have work done that they don't use licensed plumbers or electricians, and it catches up with them. I mean, it is what it is, and you can't. I don't know that there's an easy solution. So anyway, I need to wrap this up in a few minutes, but I just wanted to talk briefly about a couple of things. The city did have money in this year's budget for street tree planting. And so Kyla and I have taken the initiative on and identified 8 trees using the applications that have come through from a larger street tree planting program. So we are putting those out to bid. And so hopefully we'll have 8 new trees in the next month going in. So that's a good thing. And the grant itself, however, if you are interested in helping us spread the word, I would ask that you just reach out to Kyla and me through an email. We're going to set up a time when we're going to talk about, getting together and just walking around certain areas and handing out the application flyers to property locations. I did a bunch this past weekend, but we need more bodies and more feet on the ground just to walk along some streets and just hand them out. People are genuinely interested, the ones that we have run across and talked to. So it's a good thing. We've got the aldermen out there. We've sent it to them. We've sent it to a bunch of boards and commissions that we work with. We want to extend the same to you, spread the word with your co-workers, your peers, any commission or any other commissions or boards that you are on, where there might be a way to reach out to people. If there's a location where you want copies to be put at, we can make copies and you can put them in various locations if they're, where you think they'll get visibility. So let us know, email us, and hopefully the next week, we'll be setting up a time when we can get together with you all and decide a date that we can all go out and just do a few hours of walking in some of these neighborhoods. And I think we can make a big impact that way. Tebby.
How many applications did you have so far?
We've only received, we just took 8 away. So we're probably down to 20 now, which is not a third of what we wanted.
Yeah, I thought you figured up to 60 trees.
Yeah, 60 to 80, depending. And we're also looking at obviously doing either the tree diapers or the water bags as well, so that we can obviously ensure, that they will be appropriately watered.
As a member of the tree commission, can I put in an application?
Yes, you are a
But
property.
am I exempt?
No, you're a property owner. I think anybody who is a property owner is eligible.
And
there's
I'm
no-
wondering, because we might actually be wanting to plant some trees at our new property in the spring, but I wasn't sure what the date for planting would be. We may not be quite ready, so I
Well,
sort
we're
of,
looking at probably splitting between a spring and a fall planting.
well, then I should send in an application.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say, sorry.
Go ahead, Crean.
Yeah, I distributed like the flyer that I took at a YMCA farm event, and people were very, very happy to learn about this project. And
Yeah.
it went like, I don't know how many were taken, but people were very, very happy about this. And
Right. I mean, we
back
will
and
make
stuff.
as many as you guys think you can hand out and get out there. Just let us know. And like I said, email me and Kyle if you're interested in joining us, but we would like some support and some help from the commissioners to walk around the neighborhoods. Even if it's up and down your own street, that's great. And obviously Franklin and some of the other city streets are out of the question because they're already involved in projects. So, but there are still a lot more out there that need them.
Well, we had a discussion, I think Tebby was invited, it was me and Tebby earlier this summer, and we were talking about doing just that, going out and soliciting individuals, but we were targeting them based on the Arbor Pro
Yeah,
output.
we will definitely use that. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
is that still part of the,
Yeah.
would that
And
still be
just
part of
like
it?
just like tonight or today, when you saw us going through the applications, Elmendorf Street is an excellent example. There are
Yes.
so many locations on those streets.
Yeah.
And even in going out and looking at just the 8 trees that we chose, when we got to these locations, Kyle and I had handfuls of these. We just walked up and down the street and gave them to other people on the street, and just said, just left them on their doorsteps. Because there are, when you actually are out there, you see so many opportunities that.
Right.
amazing.
I have one question that's non-related to this, but related to the Rupco plan at the Landmark Place, or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
That tree that they were discussing, the caliper tree,
yeah,
it's back in on their property.
correct.
So are we still, as part of the tree
No,
commission?
we actually, and I talked to Kevin O'Connor about that, who was the head of Brookco. I said, it's outside of our jurisdiction, but he still wanted to bring it to the commission. It was something that the planning board made a very, a hard point of trying to preserve. And they did. And obviously the tree is not in, a
In our
healthy
realm, right?
condition.
Right.
In the planning board's review, which occurred, 8 years ago when they were reviewing it, that tree was slated to be preserved and protected.
Ah,
And
okay,
they tried. And obviously, I think that's why Kevin wanted to bring it here.
okay, that's
And
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I like the idea that we learned about the basil sprouts.
Yes, that
I
was
think,
good.
there's an opportunity at every door, right?
That's right, yeah.
So that was something I learned today too. So that was good. Okay, so if there's nothing else, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn at 5:10.
Motion
Motion by
adjourn.
Teddy and second by Evan. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, everybody. So give us an email and we will be hopefully seeing your faces in the next couple of weeks. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, take care.